Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. This edition of Urban Perspectives is sponsored in part by UCare Choices, Comcast, Internet Essentials, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. On this edition of Urban Perspectives, we discuss creating financial stability, celebrate the state's oldest minority business, and connect with new Minnesotans. Join me for this eclectic mix of conversation here on Urban Perspectives. My first guest is President and CEO of New Beginnings Financial Group, a tax, insurance, and financial services company. His writings have been featured in MSN Money, Black Enterprise, and Ebony Magazine, and he has been dubbed by the Online Trading Academy as a financial expert. He's the author of Wingonomics. I'm delighted to have him here with us, Mark A. Wingo, to Urban Perspectives. How you doing, Mark?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Wingonomics.
Yes.
That's how you pair the name with the importance of the book. Great book as well. You know, you were featured on the CNN report speaking about how you went from foreclosure to financial freedom. What was your journey, and how can it help others by explaining it to us?
Yeah. Well, Pete, the foreclosure was just the beginning part of it.
Yes.
There's a lot more to foreclosure, but that was the most, the most important one that I kind of get out there because a lot of people are going through foreclosure, right now. So, but there was, long nights staying up, hiding from the repo man,
Yeah.
3 payday loans, trying to juggle those, debt, all types of stuff. So I really had to create a mindset that I can achieve and overcome this stuff. And it started with creating a balance in my life. A lot of people think finances is just money, but it's more than money.
Okay.
So I really had to go and, mentally think and use my mind in productive ways. I had to spiritually, believe in my faith and have a vision that faith was going to come to pass. I had to physically learn how to take care of my body because it's more than, just all that stuff. You got to really be, in tune with the inside, what you eat and the shows on the outside. I had to socially learn how to talk successful.
Yeah.
Then financial was last. I had to learn the money game and learn the new rules of the money game.
Yeah, it's a game, no doubt about it. So explain to us what Wingonomics is and what its mission is.
Yeah, well, Wingonomics was a set of principles that my family and I started to incorporate into our house so we can create our own economy. I got laid off in February 2009. I said, never again will this happen again. So that's where Wingonomics came. And it's actually just a spin play off the word economics, but I put Wingo in front of it so it could be personal. And we teach a lot of our clients how to create their own personal economy as well.
What are 3 keys to eliminating debt? We all are saddled with some debt, and you talked about it early on in your transformation. What are 3 keys, if you could give them right now, for eliminating it?
Well, the most important one is know who you owe.
Know who you owe, exactly.
A lot of people, when I go over debt analysis with them, I ask them who you owe, they don't know. Okay. So know who you owe, know the balance, know the interest rate, know the terms, and most importantly, know when it's due on per month.
Yeah.
Once you figure that out, you want to create a system to organize your debt from smallest to largest, and I mean by principal. Then you start paying them from there. Then the last one I would tell them is basically, you want to go cash broke to be debt free. And what I mean by that is you have to give your money a purpose. A lot of people want to, have so much debt, and have cash in the bank. Well, if you got cash in the bank, you want to go at that debt aggressively and get it out. It'll pay off in the long run, big time.
I used to be like that. I have money, and I said the bills can wait. I want to hold on to this money a little bit longer, but it is important to get them out of the way. That's how you can feel a lot better when you sleep at night, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what advice would you give families for building financial freedom as families?
Yeah. Well, you got to create some type of system, have some principles, have a vision. What I tell all my clients is to run your household like a business and manage your finances like a bank. And what I mean by that is every business has a mission statement, a vision statement, a purpose, goals, etc.
Right.
You want to do that for your household. My family now, we have weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly meetings to go over our finances. It's like our board meeting that we have.
Okay.
So you want to do that. And when I say, run your manage your finance like a bank, it's basically you gotta know the rules of money. The rules are always changing. We got new rules coming up here January 1, 2015 with the IRA 401k rules, a lot of stuff. So you got to stay on top of the rules and always know that banks are in the business to keep money in motion, so you should too.
Seems like a lot of work though. Is it really a lot of work?
It's in the beginning.
Yes.
I tell people prepare for the pain in the beginning, in order to experience the pleasure in the future. So it's tough in the beginning because you're changing, and change is always hard.
What specialties does your company offer clients to educate them for the financial freedom if we were coming to you for our help?
Yeah, well, we offer tax services, so we do, tax preparation, tax planning, and tax strategy, in addition to insurance and financial services, where we're, putting together retirement plans, college plans. We do the life insurance, and most importantly, we do the financial education, consulting, and we offer financial support to our clients. So.
Now, the book Wingonomics is available everywhere. I would gather that individuals will want to get it. What is the essence of that book?
Well, the essence of the book is just to be transparent, let you know that I grew up just like the average person, and let you know that if I can overcome, my financial adversity, my struggles, you can too. So it's just give people hope, and hope only means have only positive expectations. So I want to give people those positive expectations in their life that they can achieve.
Because you can get out of debt and you can be financially free.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes hard work though.
Yeah. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming here and giving us a little insight on the importance of, kind of getting your finances together as we move into a world that if you don't have anything, you're going to be in bad shape as it is anyway, so you can make it happen if you want to.
Absolutely.
That's the key. Mark A. Wingo.
There you go.
Appreciate having you here with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Up next, hot off the press, we talk with the granddaughter of Cecil E. Newman, an icon in the community and the African-American newspaper industry. Join me for our conversation of importance of cultural specific media with the publisher of the Minnesota Spokesman and Recorder News here on Urban Perspectives. Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. Our next guest is the publisher of the oldest Minneapolis and St. Paul minority business in Minnesota overall, the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder newspaper. She's responsible for its daily operations and the distribution of 40,000 weekly newspapers. She is the creator of the successful Sister Spokesman program that highlights the issues of African American women, and she is an advocate for strong community media. Please welcome to the Urban Perspectives, Tracy Williams-Dillard. How you doing, Tracy?
Well, I'm doing wonderful, Pete. Thanks for asking.
I'm so glad that you're here. We've had a chance to talk back and forth about getting you here, and you've been just really busy with the Sister Spokesman and the other things that you do. We really appreciate it. When was the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder newspaper established? When was it, and how does it educate the importance of minority media to the public overall?
Well, it was established in 1934. My grandfather, Cecil E. Newman, actually established the paper then, and we're actually celebrating right now our 80th year.
80.
And, the importance is that without the black press, there's no one there to tell the story from the black perspective to the black community. So then you see a lot of negative news out there, and that's why our relevance and our need to be here is so greatly important.
I think it educates as well other individuals, the general public, what you say on just what our communities of culture are all about.
It does, because otherwise, and I've talked to several of my colleagues and even other ones that are from other medias, and they say when I read the news that's in the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder, I get a whole different perspective than if I had read it somewhere else. So it definitely educates others as well as our readers and our community that we serve.
Now, what is the goal of the newspaper in providing information about the African American community overall? When you look at 80 years of being involved in this, that goal still remains, and that one essence is what? Well,
it's to inspire, to encourage, and to enlighten. And that's the goal that we have. My grandfather started with it, and this is still the same goal today, as we're still trying to inspire and enlighten and uplift our community and make sure that everybody hears the stories that are near and dear to their heart, that also informs and educates them and makes them a more educated community to make more useful and educated decisions.
That's great. Can you explain to us what the various Spokesman Recorder community events are? Because I know I've covered everything from the celebration, graduation celebration, to the Sister Spokesman. What are they and how important are they?
Well, the one thing you mentioned two of them that are very important, and that is where we recognize the African and African American high school graduating seniors, and we invite them and two guests to come and have a free sit-down meal. And we really salute that graduating senior and the family, because we believe that education and graduation is in fact a family affair. And so that's why we make sure to get the family members there. Happen to do that every May, so that's coming up. It's just around the corner. And then we do an event every month for women, and that's to highlight and to educate and inform the African American women, particularly new women that come into the city, to let them see that there are a large number of African American women, although we may not all be in one area, but a lot of us have the same common goals, and we come together to have camaraderie and to really get to know one another.
This is not an easy job that you do. I mean, 80 years that the newspaper has been in effect. A day-to-day job is what for you? What does it do for Tracy?
Well, it keeps me going. It keeps me excited. Every day I go to work, there's a challenge. Putting together a weekly newspaper definitely keeps you on your feet, but it also keeps you knowing that the work that you do is not in vain.
Yes.
And that you know that it's always for the good of the community. So it's a rewarding job, and I love going to work every day. And I got a wonderful staff that supports me and keeps everything looking very well. So
yeah. So personally, doing what you do now, and particularly as well with the Sister Spokesman program, does that give you the excitement about doing more things in this community?
It does. It really does. It motivates me to want to do more, and looking in the near future at doing something very similar to what you're doing right now, where we start to bring some of the guests from our monthly Sister Spokesman audience on television, so that we can start to give them, you know, more highlights, and it just makes you want to grow the program, and it makes me want to grow the graduation event. And this year coming up, we're celebrating our 80th anniversary, so we got a program going on in August for that. So it's all exciting. We got a lot of work to do, but I'm up for the task.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a great year next year for Spokesman and Recorder, and we really appreciate you coming on board. If I have one thing that I want to say to you in leaving, is that you folks do a fantastic job at the newspaper, and in particular, you also help young people to learn about this industry. That's important.
It's very important, and we got interns, and we're working right now with the U. We're going to bring some more interns in, really help teach them the whole journalistic program and how it works and how they fit into the theme of things, and help them to grow so they can be a Pete Rose one day.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Now, when does the paper come out, and when people can expect it, and where can we get it?
Okay, well, it comes out every Thursday on the newsstand, and they can get it on the newsstand, or they can call me at 612-827-4021, and we'll certainly get them signed up.
And that number's been the same ever since I've known you, so
forever.
It's on.
It's on.
Tracy Williams-Dillard, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Your mother was the impetus for me being here, and Norma Jean Williams was such a inspiration for me.
And as I. Yeah. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. So
for sure.
She's been an inspiration for me as well, though, for real.
Great woman. Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, we present Shining Stars, brought to you by YouCare Choices and BMAnetworks.com, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of the urban community. Our Shining Star this week is an entertainment publicist and a correspondent that has a passion for public speaking. She's a volunteer at KFAI Radio and the creator of Hit a Talk, a motivational blog, and current student at the U of M School of Journalism. Please meet our Shining Star, Anahita Ahar.
My name is Anahita Ahar. I'm an entertainment publicist and Twin Cities personality. I'm at the School of Journalism right now at the U of M, and my focus is on broadcasting. I love the vibe of the Twin Cities. I was born in Iran, but I moved here when I was 2, on Halloween actually. And so it's been part of my culture, you know, being Americanized. And I've always I come from a very hospitable background, but it's so important to me to just give back to the so many supporters that I have. A lot of people invest their time and consideration in the things that I want to do. So if I can give back anyway, I'm so happy to. I'm taking all the experiences that I'm throwing myself into and then asking for more. I'm so hungry for it. I'm taking all that so I can learn and have the knowledge behind the scenes. That's why I do publicity and public relations, and also to help all the community members and even some national acts really help and shape their branding. And that's helping me learn the ropes. So that's behind the scenes. Essentially, that's going to help me with my on-camera presence, learning what goes on with the whole production. Long-term goal is either to be on Entertainment Tonight or the Today Show. Kind of corny, but I absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with both of them. Entertainment broadcasting is where I want to be. I love hosting events. I love being the face to a brand, and being on stage, I'm not camera shy. You have to like what you're doing. If you don't like what you're doing, you're gonna lose that fire and that flame along the way. So truly invest in yourself. And life balance is so important. Make sure you're taking time for yourself, your family, your friends, and the things that are important to you. And just ask for help. Asking for help is not easy, but I've realized I cannot do it by myself. So sticking to my passion, asking for help, and then giving myself some work-life balance. My name is Anahita Ahar. I'm an entertainment publicist and Twin Cities personality, and you are watching Urban Perspectives.
Thank you, Anahita. Coming up, we talk with a radio program producer and personality and editor whose mission is to connect immigrants from all over the world to Minnesota's communities. Join me for a discussion on international diplomacy and media on Urban Perspectives with Julia Opiti. Our next guest is the producer and host of Reflections of New Minnesotans on AM 950, where she interviews new Minnesotans, immigrants, and discusses their issues while educating the public on their contributions. She's a writer for the Twin Cities Daily Planet and editor of Michelle, an African-focused newspaper. Please welcome Julia Opiti to Urban Perspectives. How you doing, Julia?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm just glad to have you here. We've talked over the months and maybe a year even about the great work that you're doing with the New Minnesotans. Talk to us a little bit about who you are and how did you become so involved in showcasing immigrants here in our communities?
So I've always been interested in storytelling and hearing about people's daily lives beyond the headlines, beyond the political dynamics and sort of the large stories that we're used to hearing. I'm very fascinated by those day-to-day stories. So I studied business in college, and then right around that time I started freelancing for Michelle, which is an African paper based here. And I really discovered that I had found my calling, and that I love to interview people and I love to hear about their lives. And I'm fascinated by identities and how people, especially as immigrants, how we land here and how we navigate our multiple identities. And so that's how I got started, first with the African community, and then I broadened to work around immigrant communities here in the Twin Cities.
Well, talk to us a little bit about the show, Julia. What it does, how long has it been happening over at 950 AM?
So I'm approaching my 4th year. Next year, March, will be 4 years. And the show is, so I interview, although AM 950 is a talk show channel, most of the people I interviewed one-on-one interviews. Sometimes I'll have a panel of people and we'll talk about anything from profiling businesses to political trends, to people's perspectives, for example, on healthcare issues, on immigration reform, on local races, political races, because as you know, immigrant communities are really a part and fabric of the Minnesota community.
You know, you've had many guests on your show. I've watched and looked at your blog and the website, and the categories are varied. So what has been one of the important topics you think of recent that you've talked about on the programs with the individuals?
So I'd say there are several. So like I said, the profiling of people's lives, because one of the things that I find with the anti-immigration sentiments around the country, but even in Minnesota, is not knowing people's lives. And so once we get to know and see each other, see that the connectivity that we have. So there's a show I did where I interviewed a group of high school students, which was really fun and very, very fresh perspective. There are other shows that I've done that are a little sadder. So for example, I interviewed an older gentleman who is from Belarus, and he had never talked about his story as an immigrant. He had never reflected publicly on the impact that it had on his life, and this was the first time. And I felt that here was a man who could barely speak English. The two of us could hardly communicate, but we had that very intimate conversation about his life. And then there are other stories too, like interviewing folks from Seitul, which is a workers' rights movement, and having an interpreter on set, and interviewing this young woman who is is organizing for better conditions for workers, immigrant workers. And I feel that was really, really powerful. It had an impact on me because most of the time we see janitorial workers and we don't really interact with them. We don't know what their stories are, but they have families just like we do. They have the same interests as we do. And so that humanizing aspect is what I achieved for.
What are you hearing from the public about your program and its importance in these communities?
So I have got some negative reactions, but the positive ones actually are what keep me going. From immigrant communities, they're very happy to have a platform to talk about their stories. They're very happy that there is an opportunity to showcase who they are, whether it's professionally or just on a personal basis. From other Minnesotans, people appreciate. A lot of people are shocked to realize the diversity of immigrants we have, because we tend to think of 5 or 6 nationalities and not necessarily the broad landscape. There are people from practically almost every part of the world who live here in Minnesota. And so my goal is actually to target all those countries.
Great. What's next for that? That's one of the goals. What we see new Minnesotans coming up?
Especially for this year and following what has happened in the national elections, I really would like to pursue conversations around immigration reform. What does that look like for our local community? What sort of advocacy? And in what ways can we have a conversation that, again, humanizes these people, humanizes our stories, and makes it not beyond the signing of an executive order by President Obama? How does immigration reform impact our daily lives as immigrants?
Well, Julia, your show comes on?
Every Saturday, 2 o'clock, and also it's at 2 p.m. And then there's a rerun on Sunday late at night, like around 11 o'clock. But you can also find me on www.newminnesotans.com, and that's where I archive all of the shows.
Great. Julia Opiti, thank you so much for being here with us today, and I wish you all the best on your program.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching Urban Perspectives. I would like to thank my sponsors, UCare Choices, Comcast Internet Essentials, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. My guests, Mark Wingo, Tracy, Williams-Dillard, and Julia Opiti, our shining star, Anahita, Ahar, and you, the audience, for getting up with Urban Perspectives. Now enjoy the photos of the week featuring Father's Dinner, Isaiah Gathering, and the Freedom School Celebration. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. I'll see you next week.